Well, it's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. And it feels great being at a conference in person rather than online. And really, I just wanted to build on what a great year 2021 was for the whole industry. We saw COP26 in Glasgow. We saw the British government finally offering some form of revenue support. And there's been record levels of investment across the sector. So that's been a great year and something great to follow on in 2022. Sorry, apologies, that's, I don't think the frame's quite worked there, is that? I'll just try on that. Shall I continue anyway? It should have spot the power station. Oh, it's there now. Right, okay, great, thank you. Right, okay, so first of all, I think the big thing is that the public is now starting to understand tidal energy. So it's much more mainstream, much more coverage in the media, and the benefits are huge. So as you see the slide, now it's appeared, spot the power station. One of its big advantages is that there's no visual impact on the landscape. So it's clean, it's predictable, it doesn't interfere with shipping, and there are no dams, no barriers, and it's very environmentally friendly. So that's a huge bonus. In terms of what we've been up to as well as Scotland, we're looking to replicate the success of the Shetland Tidal Array in both Canada and Wales. Here's a bit of animation showing you our Enkley project. So you can see it's right at the tip of the Llyn Peninsula. We've started to gear up there. So over the past year, we've been working on bird and mammal surveys. The consenting is underway. And we are making a lot of progress in Nova Scotia. So this is showing you the Petit Passage project. Now we've got the grids in place, consenting's in place. We've actually got kit across in Nova Scotia, and we're looking for first power in summer this year. So that's going to be a major milestone for Nova, a major milestone for Canada as well. So we're really excited about that. Here's what the turbine looks like. So this is sitting quayside in Shetland before delivery. So we've got 4 turbines operational in the Shetland Tidal Array. 3 have been generating power for 6 years. That again, a huge milestone again. This is the 4th turbine. So this is our new direct drive. We've actually designed out the requirement for a gearbox, which makes it more efficient, more reliable, more cost effective. So again, another example of how the industry is progressing. Great thing with this is it can be containerized and we can ship it anywhere in the world. So quick lead times, quick delivery, it's easy to deploy and easy to install. It's also scalable, so we can deploy single devices on multiples to 4 megawatt arrays. In terms of R&D, this is the direct drive. We're sort of building on that. We have the ONFET project in Shetland, which is very much looking at the resource. How can we actually learn from that, particularly in relation to arrays? You know, what's the optimal spacing between those turbines, the wake effects? We've also got Element, which is focused on controlling optimizing the control of the turbines, again improving output. And the new project we won last year was Up Tempo. Again, another very exciting project, and that's about economies of scale. So building bigger turbines to lower that LCOE. Here's just compare some of those projects. So on the left there, you'll see Scotland. We've actually got 2 new turbines going in later this year, so that'll be the 5th and 6th turbines in the array. We've got Canada, I touched upon, first power due in summer this year, and then Enkley on the right. So the consenting is underway, and again, we're working very hard to make that one happen as well. So great progress. One of the big themes recently has been industrial collaboration. So last year we announced a memorandum of understanding with Sabella, a French partner, to work together on site development, and in January this year we announced the berth at Morlice. So we've got a 12 megawatt birth, 6 megawatts for Sabella, 6 megawatts for Nova. And again, on the back of more lights gaining consent in December, and then yesterday's announcement for the funding, it really is a very, very exciting time. In terms of our broader international portfolio, we've touched on Scotland, Wales, Canada. We've got huge potential in France. Again, through our partnership with Sabella, that's really going to open doors and help us develop projects in France. In November last year, we announced funding for a feasibility study in Indonesia, and that's in a place called Larantuka. Indonesia has something like 17,000 islands sloshing between the Pacific Ocean and the Indian Ocean. So again, huge potential in Indonesia, so we're very excited about that. And there are other opportunities further afield as well. So that's Nova in a nutshell. So just a summary overview. Just want to point you towards our new Enkley project website, which has just been launched this week. So that's easy to navigate. You can learn more about the project, and it's bilingual as well. So I'll finish there. And if anybody wants to ask any questions, free to answer them, but I'm not sure what that will be done at the end. Okay, great, thanks.
Great. Thank you very much, John. Good to see that you've got so much going on. And now, Orbital Marine. Delighted to welcome Andrew Scott. I think one of the sort of endearing, if that's the right word, memories I have, images I have of recently in our industry was Andrew briefing the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge on the deck, if that's the right word, of your device. So, mixing in high circles, Andrew, and good luck to you. The floor is yours.
Thanks very much. Good morning, everyone. Great to be back here. As Martin says, I'm Andrew Scott, the CEO. In fact, I was thinking about it, last conference I actually was at was Marine Energy Wales 2019, so it's fantastic, and actually to be back out, I'm sure everybody else is appreciating the socialisation, and I think I appreciated it a bit much the last time and ended up missing my flight. And I think it's a cruel twist of fate. Somebody put me up early first thing the next morning, or the second morning for this one. But anyway, fantastic to be back in amongst friends and share with you a little bit of an update. So actually, at that last Marine Energy Wales, I was looking back, so we'd just pulled to an end, I think, our full-scale prototype program, the SR2000, and we were raising money to build this crazy new machine at the time, which we called the O2. So, it was May, wasn't it? I think 2019, and we'd just closed the Abundance raise of £7 million of debt into this project. So I think that makes it quite safely the most commercially funded marine project to date. And it was shortly thereafter we actually got into construction. We reached FID about the middle of 2019 and then went into construction of the O2. And nobody saw the curveball of a pandemic coming our way. But in a way, we worked our way through it with the supply chain, delivered the project on budget, and it's given us 2 years to achieve that, come back and report. And this next video kind of probably lets me do less talking, and you can sort of images here about the vision that we focused on creating over the last couple of years. Really the scale of the turbine, I think, which probably hits people, pushed the boundaries of engineering and supply chain capability. This turbine is the same size as a jumbo jet. It's about 64 meters nose to tail, and from tip to tip with the legs up, it's about 55 meters or something like that. 680 tons. So by some margin, the most powerful tidal turbine ever built. At full peak 2 megawatts, actually it's got a little bit more than 2 megawatts capability, but at rated power, it generates about 150 tons of thrust. And it's held on station with anchors and chains, well, chains that can lift up about 50 double-decker buses. And I think, for us, not just creating a vision around the technology, right, something that was pioneering and innovative, but it really was also an example for us to showcase a UK supply chain. So we're wedded and we're committed, and we don't think it's a concession using the UK supply chain to build technology. And in fact, every time we do a project like this, I think it's a reassurance and a reinvigoration of our motivation, because we find amazing supply chain people to work with around the country. So we had blades getting manufactured on the south coast of England. We had anchors, I said, that do the job of keeping us on site, fabricated here in North Wales, actually. And the full machine was assembled. Final assembly was done in Dundee, where it was the first vessel to be launched in over 40 years. I think at the peak of it, we had about 50 people working on site, and I think across the whole supply chain UK activity, we believe it generated about 70 jobs. So these are totally different metrics to a renewable sector that the UK has understood and known to this point, and I think really demonstrates the opportunity that we have here to combine an energy policy with an industrial policy that can generate and help give a just transition, not just a net zero transition. So that's kind of the vision that we've created and been working hard on over the last couple of years. I've got a few slides here because sometimes the story that we don't tell is why we've done it. Like, it's an amazing piece of technology, it's a bold piece of innovation, but why did we end up here? So, in the tidal world that we're all aware of, the resource is very precise, very predictable and finite. So really our job as tidal energy companies is to try and utilize that as efficiently and effectively as possible. So actually, it was over a decade ago, we built the world's first grid-connected floating tidal turbine. Some might even argue the first array, since it's got actually 2 turbines on it. And we did that, a 250 kilowatt machine up in Orkney. And on a kind of given resource with the performance and the specification of that machine, this is kind of what we could do with the resource on a 24-hour cycle of an average kind of tide, where we might see 3 meters a second. Importantly, it was a demonstration of the technology, that the concept worked at a basic level, and also that the operations around constructing it and installing it could also work. So you can see there, we did all construction activity on site with a multi-cat and all sort of maintenance stuff with rib-style vessels. And these are really important metrics and parameters for the economics of projects. And it's always been at the heart of our innovation is to de-risk those economics by making sure that we can use low-cost vessels and things. But we knew we could do better. So, as I said, the last time I spoke to this conference, we'd just finished the SR2000 program, which was our full-scale prototype machine, very much just an inflated, scaled-up version of the 250. And that was built in the Harland & Wolff shipyard. And it went on to set a number of records. At one point, I think it generated more power in 12 months of operation at EMEC than all the wave and tidal energy turbines in the whole of Scotland had until that point. And that was really because we were actually utilizing a lot more of the resource. The 250 was only really capturing the surface energy. There's this vast column of inertia and energy below us that we were missing. So we scaled that turbine up, and it was a fixed pitch system as well. But importantly, again, on those project metric sides, we actually used exactly the same construction equipment and maintenance equipment. So when I usually tell people about that achievement of the 12 months of generation, I actually say the most impressive thing within that is that we had lots of interventions on that turbine. Because we respect, not only is this emerging technology an innovative new technology, so it's going to generate QA issues, design issues as you start to build out, but it's a function of the technology itself as well. You only need to look across into sister industry of wind, and you can see wind turbines need maintenance and servicing. So it was as much a de-risking of that conceptual approach that we could maintain the machine quickly and cheaply. But we knew we could do even better than that, which was the O2. So this is very much what we're presenting is no longer a prototype. This is a pre-production commercial demonstrator. There are some levels of innovation that we realized we were short on the SR2000, principally about the configuration of the legs. They come up in a gull wing type scenario, and that gives us, again, low cost, cheap access to every single major component and system on the machine. And we kept the rating at 2 megawatts, but we upped the swept area. So this has 2 20-meter diameter rotors on it, sweeping an area that's about the size of, I think it's 3¼ basketball courts. We've implemented a pitch system to allow us to do that and get the best yield out of it. And again, importantly, demonstrating low-cost construction and maintenance. And this is what it does. And that's really the kind of journey of why we've gone over a decade and both consistently raised private sector money to take us along this journey, to take the technology to utility scale, where we can start making meaningful contributions here. And you can see that journey has taken the capacity up by 8 times and the yield on a like-for-like basis up 10 times or more. And again, really importantly, we're using exactly the same construction equipment and maintenance equipment. So massive economies improvement there. And this is what it looks like in real life. So this is the O2 in its commissioning process. We're not even running consistently at 2 megawatts here. But that predictable, starting to become familiar output of tidal turbines. And these are just some simple stats, interesting ones about what the world's most powerful tidal turbine can now do. So in about 3 turns of its rotors, it'll generate enough power to power a UK home for a day. This is an important metric. I kept mentioning it. But the cost of a service intervention, we can pay for that with power generation in 45 to 30 minutes of power generation. So again, we're starting to de-risk. People say, well, what happens if you've got more reliability issues? You need to get access to your nacelles 4 times a year. It actually doesn't really matter. So that's the way we've approached the whole challenge, is rather than try and achieve a level of reliability about mean time between intervention, we just minimize the consequence of needing to do servicing. Power and EV around the world. We now live, I think the phenomenon that we live in at the moment is no longer a decarbonisation of an electrical system, is that we're working in an energy system now. And so, EVs are becoming a bigger demand and a drain. And of course, again, hydrogen. And so there's just some stats there. We hope in the months and years to come, O2 will continue to reset the benchmark for performance of tidal turbines and the levelized cost of energy. This is what we're going to do next, actually, and it kind of feeds on from some of those analogous energy parts. So last year we were successful in being awarded a large amount of EU funding to do the next iteration. So it'll actually be another O2 with some levels of innovation. We see O2 as being the right platform to go into volume, go into commercial application, but we think we can get bigger rotors on it, and we can get more power out of it. But it'll be connecting in up at EMEC, where it's going to demonstrate a future energy system with flow cell batteries, taking advantage of that predictable resource and that predictable output of turbines, and also looking to help decarbonise some of the harder to get parts of the economy with hydrogen, where there's initiatives to power inter-island ferries with hydrogen, and even do some flights. So it's a really exciting time for us. I'm really delighted to have been back here and be in the company of so many good friends. It's an exciting time for the industry. We're looking forward. It was great news yesterday with Morlace getting that funding. We are, of course, berth holders there, and we're looking very seriously about how we bring this technology into Welsh waters and bring with it, hopefully, lots of opportunities for some of the great supply chain that work here.